everyone, and welcome back to Emken Gardening. Today we are nice and shady under our big dogwood tree in our backyard. So this is one of our shade beds that we're going to be working in today. We've worked over the past couple seasons of just adding in some shade things here and there. We're working with a particular color scheme that we'll talk about as well. But Ryan and I love shade beds, and I know that I've talked to some friends about how shade plants can be kind of tricky to work with, or maybe not as appealing as, you know, big blooms and all of that thing. But Ryan and I actually really love shade beds because of what they can offer to your eye in terms of resting. So there's something very peaceful about looking upon a shade bed and seeing just all of these beautiful, almost muted textures and colors, different leaf foliages. It's really nice and pleasing to your eye as a gardener or as a person who enjoys gardening, when you're like looking and you're saying bloom, 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 to just have that rest spot for your eye. And it kind of draws you in so you can look at all of the interesting details that are in these shade beds. So like I said, this bed is by no means complete. We have all perennials in this bed, and we're just adding to it over each season. So I'd like to walk you through what is in our shade, one of our shade beds, our dogwood tree bed, as we call it, first. Okay, so right in front of me, we have a white bleeding heart. We actually have two. We have one right here and one right at the corner of the bed. And these have that dark green foliage, but instead of the more traditional pink bleeding heart bloom, they're white, and it really stands out in this bed. So we have two of those, and we'll pop a picture of what that looks like when it's in bloom. Bleeding hearts usually bloom May into June time. So these ones are out of bloom at the moment, but it's really nice having some early bloom. In fact, a lot of these bloom early in the season. So that first couple months of spring are really nice looking at the shade bed, because not a lot of our other annuals are in the ground yet, and not a lot of our perennials are up yet. So having some really early blooms in a space that's waking up from the winter is lovely. So we have our two white bleeding hearts. We have three wee hostas. This is my favorite hosta. I'm not a huge fan of hostas, you all, and I love this one because of the two-toned. It has the yellow and the green, but it also is kind of like curly, so it's very kind of feminine, and it appeals to like my child like. So I like the wee hosta. We have three of those. They do not get much bigger than this also, so this is about how big they're going to get. Right in front of that we have a, I think it's like a peachy keen heuchera. If I'm wrong, I will correct that on the screen. So they have this like peach to light green foliage color, and their bloom spikes are really delicate and pink, like a pale pink, and they're beautiful when they bloom. Right in front of this, oh, we have two of those here. The other one is struggling. It got a little overtaken by the lamium. Right in front of it is a Jacob's ladder, and the Jacob's ladder has really awesome foliage as well, that two-tone variegated foliage, and the blooms on this Jacob ladder is that traditional light periwinkle blue. Our favorite ground cover is the lamium, and this lamium blooms a light pink. And we love lamium. It has that silver overlay. It's fuzzy to the touch, so it's great for kids to touch it. So it's nice and fuzzy. It has the dark green border on the leaves, and then that silver overlay that really pops in a shade bed, having that like white silver look. Let's see, what else do we have in this bed? We have a fern that we were not sure if it was going to come. I believe this is just a Boston fern. I think we must have just popped that in the ground one.
There was another one over towards the far end.
Oh, that didn't make it?
That didn't come back.
Okay, so we must have intentionally planted it. Okay, so that's really cool that we have the fern that came back. We have two, I do not remember for the life of me what this is. It is a ground cover. You can see it shooting out its legs to then re-root in. But it also provides a nice pink bloom stalk. And it's beautiful having it here. Right behind me, we have a phlox, a blue phlox. It's obviously out of bloom right now. We have a blue phlox right there and right there. We also have daffodils in this bed. We have Spanish bluebells in this bed, and we have a couple white irises in this bed as well. So this bed gets mainly all shade. It gets some dappled sunlight, but it's predominantly all shade because of the dogwood tree. So today we're going to be planting a couple things to add to it. Let's check them out. So if you haven't caught on, our color scheme in this shade bed is obviously green, but we have some silver and whites in there. We have some yellows going on in here. We have light pink and light blue going on in this bed. So those are the colors that we're working with. So to add to this bed, we're adding more perennials. First up is a gold heart, bleeding heart. So this foliage is going to be perfect in this bed because it's going to stand out amongst all of the green. It's also going to pull and, what is that word? Complement. It's also going to pull and complement from the wee hosta right here. So it has a nice gold leaf that turns more chartreusey when it's in more shade. So this is a full shade bleeding heart, and it has the traditional like pink heart blooms that come off. So this one is going to be going over there by the light. So we have a trifecta. So we have a trifecta of bleeding hearts, and it's going to be in a really nice kind of diagonal line with the yellows and the wee hostas. So this is our first perennial that we will be planting. Our second is a Queen of Hearts Brunnera. Now I love Brunnera. We did have two, I want to say Jack of Diamonds last season in this bed, Brunnera. These are perennial and they're super hardy. They're down to zone 3. I think it's a 3 to 8 zone. So they should have came back, but both of them didn't. So I did some research and they recommended mulching in the winter, and we actually didn't mulch this bed. I think that might have contributed to the fact that they did not come back. So we're hoping again for this year. They stay really small and compact. They only get about 1.5 feet tall and wide around, so they stay pretty small. They have a nice silver overlay. They're going to match the lamium really nicely. Nice silver overlay, really dark green variegation. Again, really fuzzy to touch. And their bloom spikes is it's very reminiscent of a forget-me-not bloom. So that really light blue forget-me-not bloom. Hi. Hi. So we have two of those. This one I have already pruned. I wanted to quickly show you how you can prune this. These are spent blooms. You can tell that some of them have pushed leaves. We're not going to keep this stock at all, and some of them have completely died back. So I just wanted to show you that it's absolutely okay when your plants, when any of these plants are done with their blooms, you can just go in and prune off the entire stalk. Even if it has leaves on it, we're going to keep the big main bold leaves. So all of these smaller leaves that are attached to the stalks, we're actually going to take off. So this is going to be a pretty drastic change for this one. As opposed to the other one. But he's going to be happier for it.
Lexi. Close up.
Lexi, go sit down. Lay down. Yeah, go lay down. Yeah. Lay down.
Lexi, come here.
Yeah, I know. I love you. I do.
Lexi.
I love you so much. Yes, yes.
Lexi, come here. Come here. Come on. Lay down. Sit. Sit down. Sit.
Lexi. She's like, well, what's Mom doing? She's cutting stuff. You know what? She's cutting things that you could play with. I bet that's what you want. Huh. Alright, so you can see how much cleaner that looks immediately. Definitely ready to plant. So, like I said, this bed is nowhere near done, right? So we're going to just spread out our Brunnera a little bit and plant it the exact same way you all are used to. We're going to drill the hole, put our Biotone starter fertilizer in, plant them up. Fresh soil on top. We're going to be careful of Spanish bluebells bulbs and daffodil bulbs in this bed, because those are our early spring bloomers that are in here that are totally okay. And it's really interesting in like the early winter time, because obviously there is no canopy on the tree, so this bed will get sun for all of those bulbs to grow. Here we go. Plant them on up. Alright, so these are slugs. I'm sure you know what those are. And I noticed some other slug damage right here. So we're gonna get some Captain Jack's slug brew. We'll link that down below. And it's just like a granule. You just sprinkle it in your beds, and when the slugs crawl on it, it will not feel great to them. And yes, so we'll be doing that as a remedy to this, so that they don't eat our beautiful Brunnera leaves. In the meantime, we're gonna just take you off. Goodbye. Where shall I put you? Oh, look at the centipede. What is happening in this? Alright, so it was wonderful working in the shade today. We love shade beds. We love the textures, the different foliage, the soft and delicate blooms that they provide. And we hope that this inspires you to not be afraid of your shade beds, to embrace them and to try out different things. In some videos coming up, we're going to be planting some annual shade-loving plants as well. So you kind of got to see some perennials. We're going to show you more perennials in the next video, some annuals in the next video. just take your time and really develop the bed as you go, especially when you're working with perennials, and enjoy it. You know, enjoy the growth that comes from it. So if you loved this video, which I know you did, you can subscribe to our channel and comment down below, give us a like, and we hope that you watch some future videos on more shade beds. Bye.